Or save your money for the live auction. Welcome. Can I have a little bit of silence just to say a few words? Great, thank you. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time talking, as we have an awesome night of entertainment, as you've already seen. But there's some people I'd like to thank. First, special thanks to Shakura Seda and Slow Monday. They've given up their paying gigs to be here tonight for us. You guys are awesome. None of this would be possible without the support of our sponsors. Some of you guys have been here for 3 years now supporting us. Thank you so much. There's also our Friends of the Future. For those people and families who donated over $1,000 towards Desmoid research. Thank you. There's an organizing committee of volunteers who have done a fantastic job, and they're still here working tonight. They've worked for the past 6 months on this event. Thank you. And now, and because we have such a packed agenda, I won't talk about the wonderful research your support has allowed us to fund. But I would just like to say, for those of you who don't know about desmoid tumors, they're devastating diseases, and they're rare, and they don't get funded by normal research. So it's really important that this organization raises money, because all of the money that comes out of this night after the expenses all goes to support desmoid research. And if you've been reading my emails over the past couple of years, you'll have seen how far we've come. When my son was diagnosed in 2012, we were nowhere where we are today. And it's all thanks to your support. So thank you. And now I'd like to introduce somebody, Dr. Abha Gupta, who is a doctor, obviously. She's Associate Professor, Department of Pediatrics at the University of Toronto. She's Staff Oncologist at the Hospital for Sick Children. She's Staff Oncologist at Princess Margaret, and she is the desmoid guru in Canada. Welcome, Dr.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much once again to Nancy, all the volunteers who've helped make this night possible, and really for all of your support. Probably until Nancy created this foundation, actually raise your hands if you had ever heard of a desmoid before Nancy created this foundation. So maybe that's about 10% or 15% of the crowd, probably all of whom who raise your hands have desmoid or know someone intimately who have the disease. So for the rest of you in the room, it's true. Desmoid is not something that will come on the news when you turn on the TV in the evenings. It is exceptionally rare. However, it is also that tumor that affects young, healthy individuals. There's no known cause for this tumor. Everybody that we meet in our clinics are young, healthy, living life, doing what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they have to come into a cancer hospital, see a cancer doctor, and talk about treatments that we use for cancer in the midst of their lives. It is actually incredibly devastating and associated with a tremendous amount of distress. You are amongst people who have gone through or are actually currently going through their journey with their desmoid tumor. You may not know who those people are unless they've declared themselves with a ribbon. And it just goes to show you that people with desmoid are just one of us. People are young and healthy. So everything that you invest in, or every amount of dollars that you would invest in tonight or in the future, is exceptionally meaningful. As Nancy mentioned, it is hard to get research dollars or funding from large organizations or granting agencies for such a rare tumor. However, I will say that unlike 2012, when David was first diagnosed, there are new treatments available now. In the last few years, new treatments have shown efficacy in the treatment of desmoid, and it is these ongoing running of clinical trials that will be the future. So once again, thank you so much for all of your support tonight. It is incredibly crucial. This is the only Desmoid Foundation of Canada, and we really hope that this would expand to run across the country. So thank you again, and please enjoy your evening.
So do we call you Guru Gupta? We don't call you that? Dr. Duru Gupta. That sounds much better. All right. I would now like to introduce to you William Redmond to talk about his story. We thank you so much for your quiet right now. It really means a lot to us. Thank you. William Redmond, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is William Redmond, and my journey with the desmoid tumor started in 2011. Desmoid tumors can invade muscle, and are sometimes referred to as cancer's little brother. They don't metastasize, but they do spread to adjacent muscle. And in my case, it started in my left butt cheek and spread down my leg, down the back of my leg, halfway to my knee. I don't know when my tumor first started. Back in 2011, I experienced general pain in these muscle groups, obviously, shooting pain down my leg as the tumor surrounded my sciatic nerve, limited range of motion, most notably difficulty tying a shoelace, numbness and tingling, the leg would fall asleep frequently in interesting positions, and Charlie horses down the back of my leg, my calf, and my foot. So the first point I'd like to make in this journey is desmoid tumors are rare. They afflict about 1 in a quarter million. And attaining a diagnosis took me a little over 2 years. In early 2011, I was prescribed orthotics by my family doctor for the desmoid symptoms. Then in 2012, my family doctor ordered up an X-ray and later an MRI to investigate differences in range of motion between left and right legs. Desmoid tumors sometimes don't show up well in MRI scans, and if it was not for an eagle-eyed radiologist who called me back for a rescan with contrast dye, my tumor might have gone undetected for much longer. Both my family doctor and a local orthopedic specialist couldn't diagnose the white blotches on the MRI, and I was finally referred to a specialist of specialists at Mount Sinai Hospital in Toronto. After reviewing my MRI in November 2012, the specialist of specialists gave me good news and bad news. The good news is he knew what the white blotches in the MRI were. The bad news, he thought it was a desmoid tumor, and a biopsy was required to confirm. After a needle biopsy in January 2015 that missed, and an open biopsy later in March, we finally had a diagnosis. So as you can see, desmoids aren't that common. They sometimes don't show up well in MRI scans and are difficult to diagnose. The second point I'd like to make in this journey is there's no single treatment option that works for all desmoid patients. Desmoid tumors are slow to grow and slow to shrink. My first treatment plan involved an oral cocktail of tamoxifen, Sulindac, Lyrica, and omeprazole. Unfortunately, there was no change in the tumor after 3 months. My second treatment plan involved a low-dose chemotherapy cocktail of of methotrexate, vinorelbine, dexamethasone in monthly cycles of 3 weeks on and 1 week off. These drugs are very tough on the veins, and I went with vascular port. The drugs noticeably shrank the tumor, and I continued chemo for another 18 months, finishing in January 2015. I thought I'd beat the tumor. However, MRI scan results in January 2016 and August 2016 indicated the tumor had become active again. I was presented with the option of hitting the tumor again with chemo, trying the suppressing agent Nexivar for an indefinite period of time, or hitting it with a sledgehammer called radiation. I opted for the sledgehammer. My third treatment plan involved 50 gray of radiation spread over 5 weeks and 25 doses. Radiation is not for the faint of heart. Burn, blister, and peel puts it mildly. I thought for sure the tumor was back with a vengeance as all of its symptoms returned. It turns out that radiation causes many of the same symptoms as a desmoid tumor itself. In March 2017, doctors confirmed the sledgehammer worked and the tumor had shrunk. So I'm pleased to say that I've been progression-free for 2 years. But the tumor still remains. The muscles in my left leg are still sore and stiff to this day. I still have trouble tying a shoelace. But these are only the after effects of the tumor and the radiation. So in closing, if you have a desmoid tumor, don't be afraid to try multiple treatment options. If you know anyone with a desmoid tumor, please know that your support matters because it is appreciated. To everyone joining us tonight, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Your support will go a long way towards understanding and treating desmoid tumors. Thank you.